All right, we are live, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hold on just a minute. I am getting this refreshed and making sure we've got it shared across all the platforms. Hope y'all are having an awesome evening so far. My name is Matt Latham. Afternoon, really. Anyways, I'm Matt Latham. Oh, goodness, that needs to be silenced. Okay, that's way better because y'all don't want to hear all that nonsense. But again, my name is Matt Latham. I am a board certified master arborist and a registered consulting arborist with the American Society of Consulting Arborists. Those are those two certifications up there somewhere, wherever they are. And y'all, I'm excited to be here with you guys. Just so you know, a little housekeeping. I am solo flying today. My earbuds are not here because Lucas is not with us. He's dealing with some pretty serious, pretty heavy stuff. So y'all be praying for him. I won't go into details and I'll keep it anonymous like that. But y'all just be praying for Lucas. He's a great guy. We love him, and he's going through some really hard stuff right now with his family and all that. So, anyways, we love you, Lucas. Hope you're getting better soon, man. And as soon as we can get things worked out and get you back on here, love to have you. He's a great guy, great marketer too. And he's really the reason we have been able to grow this channel from, I think we started at zero. I think it's pretty much where you start on any sort of group. And we grew it very quickly to about 650 within a couple months. And then after that, y'all, we really just took off. And right now we're growing at least 140 to 180 people per day. For those of you that are mathematicians, that's around 20 people a day. So I love this community, love what we're building here. Little housekeeping, like I said, I do want to talk about two things today. These are very important subjects, very passionate subjects of mine. Oh, hold on. Sorry, y'all. I forgot to share it to the Facebook Ask an Arborist group. That's where we get all these great questions about trees. What am I doing here, y'all? This is crazy. But anyways, we miss you, Lucas. And man, like I said, love to have you back as soon as we can. And you make this show real and possible, and just make it a better place for all of us. So thanks again for all that you do. And as soon as you can get back, man, come on, join us, buddy. And but for now, let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, I want to talk about what this group is not. Now, we've been not inviting so much, but we've been allowing a lot of different tree guys and a lot of different people out there that are in the tree and the green living industry, the outdoor living industry. These are landscapers, tree guys, plumbing or irrigation guys, et cetera, et cetera. And this is just a reminder, you guys. This ain't your tree group. This ain't your Arbro group. We've had several times where we've actually had to get rid of and unfortunately suspend and kick out several tree guys for just being snarky and jerks. So we're not going to tolerate that. This is not your Arbro group. Go over to Tree Tards, or I see you don't know SHIT about tree care. Those are great groups. I love being a part of many of those groups as well. But this ain't it. This is a safe place for homeowners, people that are not in the industry, to come in and just get their questions answered. And that's what we strive to be, is just a really safe place to get good, solid answers to your tree questions. Because quite frankly, trees are very important to us. They add so many benefits to our lives. We met with one of the Democratic council member candidates last night through a group that I'm a part of, some political advocacy groups that we do. And we were talking about that, how trees are actually infrastructure. They actually provide benefits not just to you, but to your community. And so there's one tree in particular in a backyard that's a shared tree. And one side has construction going on, and he does not seem to care about this tree until we had to let him know gently that we're taking notes. And if you guys cause damage to this tree and that tree there falls over because you were doing silly things, etc. Mental well-being. People look out their back windows and see this big tree, even if it's not in your yard. There's actual real health and mental health benefits to that. Cleans the air, sequesters water runoff, et cetera, and bears on mine. Actually stabilizes the soil too. That's pretty cool. But there's just so many benefits that trees provide us. So when you've got a good, healthy, mature tree, or even you've got a young tree that's growing up into a mature, healthy tree, these things are appreciating assets, these green pets that we own, and they're very important to take care of. So that's why we're here. It's just to help you be better stewards of the green pets, the green assets, and whatever you want to call them, these living beneficial organisms that we know as trees. And we want you guys to have awesome trees. Now, just so you know, too, a little self plug here. I do run a company called Arborist on Demand. And what we essentially do is telemedicine for trees. And, this is a real passion project of mine, because I learned a long time ago is the medical industry does what's called telemedicine. Well, if they can do that and doctors can prescribe things, why can't we do it for tree care? And so I started just testing the waters a little bit, probably 7 or 8 years ago. And quite frankly, I just got tired of driving around all over Dallas. And so I say, hey, let's be lazy about this. I'll charge you less if we can figure out what the problem is via Zoom. And if we can't, then we'll just drive out there and meet you on site. That's fine too. But essentially that grew into this whole thing where that's what we do now is digital consulting for tree care. Help you decide and make great decisions about your trees, because quite frankly, there's so many arborists out there, so-called arborists out there, but many of them are local and they have a product to sell you or a service to sell you. And so don't think for a second there is such a thing as a non-biased tree care company, because quite frankly, they're all biased. They all have a product to sell you. And so it's really important that we be able to give you a second opinion. So on that note, I have been seeing a lot of posts and coming in and saying, hey, well, it's so quick, and we're not stopping here. We're still growing. See, I'll keep on keeping on. But one thing I noticed is a lot of comments about, diagnoses that really are not diagnoses. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Hippocrates said, this is like the guy, that founder of modern medicine, right? That's his title, is he's the father of modern medicine. He says that prescription without diagnosis is, ready? Malpractice. Malpractice is a dirty word in the insurance industry, because malpractice means negligence, which means potentially very serious consequences. Now, there are, last I checked, there are approximately 250,000 to 350,000 unalivements in the medical world due to malpractice. And unfortunately, that whole industry is bolstered, making sure that the doctors are protected and the patients generally are not. They call them Good Samaritan laws. If the doctor had the best intentions, but he made stupid decisions and accidentally made a mistake, which wound up on grandpa or grandma or mom or dad or whoever no longer being with us, they're actually very protected. And unfortunately, the tree care is the Wild West. We just don't have those laws, which I think is a great thing. But it also means that anybody and everybody will come in there and just do whatever they want, say whatever they want to give you answers. And so, like, I'll give you an example. There was a guy that, I'm not looking at it now, but there was one guy in our Ask an Arborist group that he posted something about, what kind of tree is this? And they said, no. They said, what's wrong with my tree? And it's obviously like a younger tree. It's got maybe we'll go over it here in just a minute, but younger tree, got some decay on it. And they said, well, it's got mold. It's getting to all the oak trees. It's like, what does that mean? Mold is everywhere. You got mold on you and probably in you as well. And so it's like, that's a silly, silly statement. So I wanted to talk to you very briefly. What is diagnosis? Well, a diagnosis is simply this. It is an educated fact-based decision about what is affecting the tree. And there's kind of 5 aspects to a proper diagnosis. It's not just, hey, look at the patient. Yeah, you got strep throat or you got the COVIDs or whatever. But it's really a process. And it starts with observation from a tree perspective. Obviously, we look at the tree, we look at the site, we determine the age, the species, the condition of the soil, weather events, local, like recent construction, things like that. We factor all these things in. Next, we want to identify what are the symptoms. You can have things like leaf spot. You can have a big fungus on the trunk or canker. You've got decay patterns, visible signs and clues. These are very, very important, but we're still not there. They're not conclusive. These are not the diagnosis. That's just an observation. Next, of course, we want to collect and categorize that evidence. So like when you've got a pest or a pathogen or something, or chemical injury, things like that that are suspected, what we then have to do is send that off to the real experts. Not that I'm not that your arborist is not, but we have to get it lab diagnosed, essentially. And here in Texas, we use the Texas Plant Diagnostic Lab out of Texas A&M AgriLife. But and I'll post a link here in just a second, but there are basically for every state, you've got a agriculture extension, and all of them are going to have they're going to have your own diagnostic lab, or at least they're going to have a place that you can go to for good, solid advice. Places that they know and they trust oftentimes use themselves. And so that's very important, is proper diagnosis through lab confirmation. So critical. And of course, then we want to differentiate things. So we want basically a professional is going to compare multiple possible causes. So sometimes overwatering looks exactly like underwatering. You've got mechanical damages, you've got environmental conditions and stressors, you've got biotic pathogens and pests, and then you've got abiotic or non-living pests and pathogens. Sometimes those are like concrete roadways or bad weather events, things like that. And basically, we're going to rule out through testing and observation all of the non-potential problems. And of course, we're going to take all of this information and we're going to categorize and we're going to conclude exactly what it is. And of course, write it down. Documentation is very, very important. So the final diagnosis, basically, we want it to be supported by evidence, references, field data, and usually we want to make sure to write that down and deliver that to our client or our patient or whatever you want to call it. So that's just a little bit. I know y'all are just itching to get into our questions for the day. So enough blabber from me. Let's move right on down the line and take a look at y'all's awesome questions. And that's not right. Hold on, I'm gonna get this right, guys. There we go. Less of me, more of you guys. All right. So first and foremost, we're starting from the top, and we start with Anonymous. What's up, Anonymous? Great name, by the way. I love it. Is asking, how much would you get B at to remove this tree? Not a great drop zone. Limbs are over power lines. Neighbors decaying fence. I asked a few other guys, got 12 to 1800. What was curious where your guys would be. That's in Tacoma, Washington. You know, a lot of that's going to depend by location. We got a lot of south of the border guys where I'm from here in Houston that'll do that for like $800. I would never do that for like $800. Too many risks, not enough reward. Looks to be about maybe a 20-inch live oak. You got a lot of potential problems. I don't think it's live oak, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Don't know what that is, but it looks like it's going to take some serious work. And you got a lot of things where if it goes wrong, it's going to go very, very wrong. I would probably be closer to like 2,000 or 2,500 personally. Not that that really matters, but Franco is asking a great question. Are you climbing, using a bucket? Do you have a chipper set up, etc.? All those are very, very great questions. All right, we're moving on. This is my buddy Steven. Now, Steven is a great guy. He runs a little website called arboristinstitute.com. And if you haven't, I would definitely go and check it out, because especially if you're a arborist wanting to learn to be a better arborist, you know, he's got just a wealth of knowledge. I've taught through some of his courses. He's taught through some of his courses. We've got people from Bartlett, from Davie, really from all over the US and all over the world. And just a great, great organization. Like I said, it's arboristinstitute.com. I'm going to go ahead and plug in them arboristinsstitute.com. I hope that's right. Arboristinstitute.com. There we go. So all you young aspiring arborists, y'all go check it out. I think it's like most of the time 10 to 25 bucks per course. You get CEUs for those if you are an arborist or if you're a landscape appraiser, etc. Things like that, landscape architect rather. And so just a really great organization. But Stephen was posting earlier about Veterans Day, and for all you tree guys who are veterans, he's wanting you to fill out a survey here. And he does a lot of really good things for a lot of really great people, namely those. By the way, y'all, happy Veterans Day. I am right there with Stephen. I love our veterans because, quite frankly, I can't do this if I didn't have the freedom to do this. So we really appreciate all of you who have served, no matter what branch of the military you're in. There's a pun in there somewhere about branches. But we love our military folks. My grandfather actually was a Navy pilot. He's in the Pilots Hall of Fame, and he taught me to fly as a kid. And he, you know, it's funny. My grandfather was, he was adamantly opposed to jumping out of airplanes, and I went the opposite route. I think it's wonderful fun, and you should jump out of as many airplanes as you can. That is not tree advice, by the way. That's just personal flavor. So we're moving on. But Stephen, thank you for all you do. Like I said, if you want to learn more about trees, he's got some amazing courses. Some of them I've taught, so I know. All right. Cool. All right, so we're moving on. Actually, you know what? I got to do something real quick. That's what I need. That's what I need. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you guys as well. So this is a great question. So this is one that I actually personally have experience with. One second, y'all. All right, I'm going to have to do that every time, I think. All right, so we're going to do this. I'm going to just type this in here, y'all, just so I have it. Okay. So, by the way, I'm flying solo, y'all, so just be patient with me. I promise we'll get to all your great questions, or at least some of them tonight. And so Denise is asking, we're in Central Texas, house built in 1953 with established oaks. We've been in the house for 39 years since the ice and bad ice snowstorm a few years ago. The crown of the 14 oaks we have, oak trees, were thinned by 40%. That is significant. And I could see some on a live back there as well. And oops, did I post that or no? Here we go. Okay, so this thinning is affecting our shade slash sun slash landscape, and we have in-ground sprinklers. We fertilize the yard twice a year. Okay, that may be too much, actually. That may be part of your problem. So ice storms are going to have a big impact. All organic, no weed and feed. Let the interior branching grow and remove only hyperextended limbs and deadwood. I agree with Michael's. Always a great contributor here, Michael. What I would maybe say is add some extra resources for the tree. Oftentimes in nature, trees have all the resources they need, but then when we put them out isolated in our front yard, often they are lacking in nutrients. So a couple things that I really like doing. One is humic acid. And humic acid is basically like composted compost. And it's going to add a lot of beneficial food for the tree and for the microorganisms. And then the other thing I might add is just a mild fertilizer. I would actually stop whatever fertilizer you're using, because oftentimes you could do more damage by adding chemical salts in the form of fertilizer. Fertilizers are typically basically salts. What you want to do is start to revamp and refresh the soil instead of just pumping nitrogen in it. Because here's the thing is nitrogen consists, or excuse me, our atmosphere consists of about 78% nitrogen. So as long as the beneficial microbes are well fed and are functioning on a high level, you do not need nitrogen, guys. I think that's a big scam industry, unfortunately. And so it is what it is. You know, we all have to make money to feed our families, and just function and thrive. But yeah, I think you've got really stressed trees there, Denise. And yeah, if you need help, Michael's here locally in Houston. I'm here in Houston as well. Either one of us we'd love to help you out. And of course, if you do want, kind of a closer look at it, maybe we can get on a digital arborist consultation and see if we can't help you out that way, point you in the right direction. But I think you got some great advice there. And like I said, if we can help, let me know. We're moving on. Okay. So that's Denise again. I don't know why I jumped back up there. Ooh. Spider mite facts. What? Hey, y'all, that's very true. Whenever you add insecticides, they're usually non-specific. Now, there are a couple like BT, Bacteria thuringiensis, which is it's actually a very specific parasitic microbe. It's a bacterium, and it comes in and it parasitizes only larvae of beetles and Lepidoptera family. So those are going to be your webworms, your caterpillars that are going to chew on things. So there's most of them are not very specific like that. They're going to go after just about anything they can. So I like where we're going with this. Yeah. Professor Kagan, I'm going to have to reach out to you, buddy. I like your advice you're giving. Mac Arbor. By the way, y'all, that's great. It is solid information, but it really doesn't help. Those aren't tree questions. Those are just y'all posting stuff. What I'm working on doing is creating a whole library of videos about all these different topics. And Professor Keegan, whoever that is spot on. That is actually really solid advice. That you don't want to just go in and blanket spray whatever. Blue-green things growing on the north side of my tree. That would be lichen, I think. I could be wrong, John, but I like it, man. Welcome, buddy. Yeah, lichen is generally it's algae and fungus mix. Oh, that's what that is. Yeah, it does tend to grow on the north side. It's actually very normal. Now, if you've got, they say, and correct me if I'm wrong here, y'all, but my understanding is if you've got an environment, I'm liking it too. Yes, sir. What are you testing me over here, John? John is a fellow, he's a phenomenal arborist out of Florida. He's actually president of the Florida Urban Forestry Council, FUFC. I got it right this time. And just a wonderful arborist. And he's like me. Anybody that wants to know more in this industry that's trying to grow themselves, John's a great guy to know. He'll reach out and pick you up and pull you up to where he's at. And just a wonderful arborist. And I love that. We need more people like you. FUFC.org. I'm good with that self-plug, dude. Well done. And normally I try to keep it cool and clean in here. But, man, what a great organization. I think, what was it, $27 or something like that to join the Florida Urban Forestry Council. I joined because there's a lot of good resources. And John and I were talking. He's actually opening it up and providing even more resources to those, especially in the industry. But man, how cool is it as a tree owner or a homeowner to have access to that kind of information as well. So that's exactly what we're trying to do in my groups as well, John, is I'm trying to create all these videos specific to just normal problems that you're going to run into in the everyday care of your trees. And so thanks for all you do, John. He's a great guy, and happy to support you any way I can. I'm actually a member of the Florida Urban Forestry Council. So not that I'm in Florida, I'm in Texas, but man, y'all are doing some awesome things out there. I love, by the way, let's see if I can find it. No, it's not here. John put out a thing. Apparently politics in Florida are going crazy, and there's a lot of cool stuff where and correct me if I'm saying anything wrong here, John, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the tree world. Florida is one of those states that kind of leads things, and Texas is too, and California is too. Oh yeah, y'all get in there now. Look at that. Oh, I did not mean to delete that, John. Did I delete that? I hope I didn't delete that. Dang it. I'm sorry. Post it again. My fat tree climber fingers done messed it up, John. I'm sorry, man. I totally deleted your comment. I did not mean to do that. That's something I do. This is why we need Lucas in here. Lucas, get your butt back here, man, as soon as you can. Stupid tree climber fingers. Anyways, great organization. John was saying, and that's up to January 21st. So now's the time to get in. You got what, 45-ish days, 50 days or somewhere. And before January 1st, they're bumping it up to something, I don't know, $100 or so. But you'll still have great access to some amazing resources. And like I said, Florida, John, the guys over there in Florida, really on the southern eastern coast, like Atlanta Arborist Association is phenomenal as well. You guys really are driving things, and appreciate all y'all are doing. So, all right, we're moving on. So this is one of those, by the way, that we were talking. What? No, I didn't block you, John. I didn't block you. I think I just accidentally deleted that. Is it not letting you post? Hold on. I get it. I bet I know what's going on. Uh-oh. Click the wrong button. That's okay. For those of you that know me, what? Try refreshing it. I don't know. Facebook's weird. I think Zuckerberg tries to control the world a little more than I like personally, but it's whatever. Was that the golden rule? He who has the gold makes the rules. That's a dirty, dirty joke. Where are we? Ask an arborist. All the kids are getting out of school too, so my internet started to slow down. All their tick webs. Got all their tick webs going. All right, where are you at? I'm going to say members. No. By the way, 4,045. That's the number we're at, you guys. So keep up the great work. Yes. I'm going to go ahead and copy that too if I can. Well, I can't. I can pin it though. That's cool. Yeah, I'm going to pin that because what y'all are doing is amazing. So $150, 10 CEUs or more per year. And for those of you that are arborists, that's unheard of, y'all. Completely unheard of. No, it says you're good. I don't see any restrictions. I think you're okay. Maybe try refreshing it. Currently $25 for professional membership, but it's going up to $150 a year. And I still think that's just an unbelievably good deal, John. So y'all keep that up because I think it's really important what you're doing. All right, I'm slacking again. Let me get back to these questions, you guys. All right, so what's occurring on one of my oak trees, and what should I do about it? That's a great question. I believe it's happening from compaction with the root system. It's unalived. It rotted bad. Cut it down. That's funny. I agree with this. Doesn't look like mechanical damage to me. It looks like it withered up and died. unalived, excuse me. Maybe it withered up and unalived because of the damage from sunlight. Yeah, that does kind of look like maybe Sun Scald could have started that for sure. Guy, by the way, is another one of those like legends in the industry, and we're really proud to have him here as part of this group. He's a great arborist, y'all. Absolutely phenomenal arborist. So we got the real deal going on in this group, y'all. I'm seeing a lot of like, what are you thinking? Posting that it's not an oak tree, it looks like a locust tree, and it's getting too much water. That, man, you deciphered so much, so much out of nothing. Any mechanical damage from a lawnmower wound looks like it's closing from 10 years. It does look like it's been there for a while. I don't know about 10 years, maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 20. Who knows? I'm not there looking at it, and I don't know the history. What would really help you guys, and my wife posted a great pin post. Let me go to it here, y'all. Discussion. It's this one right here. Welcome, everyone. Please read before posting. All of these are right here and available to you guys. Include photos of your post, picture of the lower trunk, the roots, picture of the overall canopy, closer photo of the leaves. They look abnormal. List the species, if you know it, of course, and where you're located. These things all really help us arborists to figure out what is going on and what, really give you a better answer. That's all it is. If you want a good answer, if you want a, really basic, just blanket answer, yeah, I'll keep it up. Give us very minimal data to go off of. But if you want a good, solid answer, read that post from Jennifer Latham there. She's amazing. Anyway, she rocks my world. And that's good, solid advice from her right there on one of the pin posts. It should be right there at the top of your screen. So thanks, Jen, for doing that. Yeah, I don't know what exactly is going on. It does look like the tree is sealing, though. That's a good sign. And so what I might do is recommend you checking the root flares. If you've got root flares that are buried, that can be an absolutely sure sign that you got trouble brewing. And so you want to make sure that, where are we at? 31 minutes. Yeah, you want to make sure to get those the root flares exposed if they're not. Radial trenching, as many of y'all know, is one of my favorite things you can do. You basically just like hub and spoke style, draw a bunch of lines in the dirt, radiating away from the trunk, and then backfill it with compost. Good organic compost. Don't use any of that, colorized garbage. That's no good. And okay, what's this, John? For aspiring arborists out there, head to this link right here. Check it out. I'm going to go ahead and second that. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I can't repost that, man. I'm sorry. I got limited options here. If I could, I would like that comment, but I don't know how to do that because I'm flying solo. Where's my Lucas at? Lucas, get your butt back here, man. I'm lost without you. If you're hearing this, he's got some stuff going on, and y'all be praying for him. Like I said, good dude and a great marketer, and he's always been there to help me out and make sure that during these live streams we get a good solid organization, really, more than anything. That's what I need. All right, so tree struggling. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, somebody's making something awesome smelling in the kitchen, and it's making me jealous. New tree struggling to thrive. Here we go. This may be the answer. So give this a shot, John. Give us some more pictures too, if you can, and just help us help you. That's what I'm getting at. But we're moving on. Wait. I got to go back to that. It's mold. This is the one I mentioned earlier. It's dead. It's rotten. It's mold. Yeah, Franco. Oh man, so true. Y'all got a lot from one picture. It's not an oak. You can tell by the bark. It looks like an oak to me. There's like 100 different types of old oaks out there. Here we go. Not to throw you under the bus, Brian, but mold. It's getting all the oak trees. Like, man, you got mold, dude, growing on your skin. You probably have candida growing in your stomach. Like everybody's got mold. Mold's everywhere. You can't stop mold. What you can do is keep the tree healthy and defending itself. All right. So Rogelio, excuse my man. I don't know how to speak Spanish anymore, y'all. Good morning from Lockhart, Texas. Hardiness zone 8B, soil type, heavy clay loam with decent drainage. I love it. Y'all, this is like primo example of how you should tell us what is going on with your tree. Good with decent drainage. Should I add a brace for the bur oak that is noticeable lean, or let it be? It was planted 1 month ago with a 45-gallon and appears to be installed correctly. How can I help the live oak in the front yard that's struggling to keep up with his brother who seems to be thriving? Both were planted at the same time and have received the same amount of water, roughly. Thank you for any guidance that can be provided. Let's check it out. Ooh, I bet you got weed and feed going on there, dog. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm always open to being wrong. In fact, when I'm wrong, that's a beautiful thing, because you don't want herbicide damage. I will say this is you've got your root flares are buried. That's not good. You do have chlorosis. You got those tiny little live oak leaves. That often is a sign of herbicide damage, not always. It could just be affecting that tree because it's stressed a little bit more. That's pretty normal, actually. Some trees are just built and set up for success. Other trees are already set up for failure, and you put them in a ground that's toxic and they're just going to fail. Okay, so when you say they've been planted correctly, I respectfully disagree. Nothing personal. Yeah, I agree. I think John's spot on. John's saying looks like it was planted too deep. I think that's exactly what's going on. You got what looks like to me herbicide damage on the one struggling live oak. You've got suburbia. Y'all, you know the joke is suburbia is where they cut down the trees and name the streets after them, and then they replace them with these tiny little baby trees. It looks like herbicide damage, poor planting. I know you say, Rogelio, that you think they were planted correctly. I respectfully disagree. There's actually a whole set of standards in the NCA 300 standard list specifically for planting and transplanting trees, I should say. And there's one of the main things is you got to make sure the root flares are exposed. That is very important. The next thing is you've got to make sure that the hole is dug wide enough, especially here in Texas. I know how they do it when they plant these trees, and it's never good. Sometimes it's okay, never great. But the Florida grades and standards, what does that mean, John? I don't know what that means. Do y'all have your own standards for tree planting? If so, that is so cool. I'll support that, because whenever you get the state level involved, it's usually going to be better. Just not always, but usually you're going to have a much better time with standards when it's regulated at a state level. Plain and simple. That's just how it goes. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and recommend maybe this Liquid Humates Plus as well, because even if you've got herbicide damages going on. By the way, weed and feed is not safe. That usually has atrazine or some other type of broadleaf unaliver. Oh, I need to know this, John. I need to know this. Oh, I'm loving where y'all are going with that. Are better, in my opinion. I respect your opinion. I need to know these standards. Florida grades and standards. I'm going to have to look that up, dude. If you got any links or any, I'm sure you've written all kinds of material about it, John. I know you. Send that to me, bro. I would love to read that. But sorry, Rogelio, getting back to your question. If you do use like a Scott's Weed and Feed, not to throw any brand names under the bus or get sued, but if you're using any of those broadleaf unalivers, anything that says weed and feed or general turf maintenance, etc., then it's probably check the bag. Check the bag to see if it's got any chemicals in it. If it does, then it's probably herbicides, and most of those are going to be very toxic for your tree. So I think that's going on. Boy, you got a real purty yard there. That usually tells me a lot. It looks like you got a chemical yard. Salt takes water out of cells, by the way. That's what our 6th grade science teacher taught us, and it's true. And all of those chemicals that are in the bag, not the herbicides, not the broadleaf unalivers. I'm talking about the nitrogen and the phosphorus and the potassium. Those are going to be chemical salts. And so on a stressed tree, that can actually do significantly more damage than if you just left it alone. So check your LinkedIn. Oh, you're amazing, John. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate that, dude. You're the best. All right, and let's go. We've got a question coming in from Michael. I have a 40-foot pine tree that seemed unalive a few months ago, but recently during fall, it has regained many of its needles and foliage. Wow, that is surprising for a pine tree. Any coniferous tree, they don't have what's called latent buds. Those are buds that are dormant underneath the bark. And so a lot of times once they turn brown, it's like game over. So I don't know. It's recently during fall, it has regained many of its needles and foliage. I love that. That's so cool. Will it continue to grow back? The 2 pines next to it are completely unalive from termites and ants. I would wager to say that it has nothing to do with termites and ants. Ooh, that's a great question. Bald cypress. Yeah, so bald cypress is up there with like dawn redwood. Everybody thinks of redwood as a like evergreen tree. But dawn redwoods are the exception to the rule, and they lose their needles. So that was actually one of the ASCA RCA exam questions was we had to write a report about it, and they tried to trip us up, y'all. They said it was a dawn redwood, and then it's got like, no needles on it, and they're like, freaking out. And I just recently had on a political advocacy group that I'm working on, they have these Lanana cypress, which are kind of Chinese hybrids of bald cypress. And the group of people were all freaking out. They're like, they just turned brown overnight. And I was like, now, wait a minute. That's normal because they're going to go dormant. So, Michael, that's a great question that John's asking. Is it a cypress? Is it a bald cypress, or is it truly a pine? Because if it's truly a pine, that's very unusual that it would regrow its needles. But if it's something like a dawn redwood or a bald cypress, John's absolutely spot on. That's normal. They're deciduous trees. They just do that. And, I go back to a guy named Alex Shigo, Dr. Alex Shigo. And many of us consider him to be kind of the father of modern arboriculture. He really figured out how trees work biologically and physiologically. And that laid the cornerstone, the foundation of most of what we do professionally today. And so he used to say something that I never actually got to see him. Okay, that's good to know, Michael. I'll get to that here in a second. But Dr. Alex Shigo said one of the most important things, the 3 most important things to being a great arborist is number 1, know your tree. Number 2, know your tree. And number 3, know your tree. And correct me if I'm misquoting that, John. I'm sure you've probably seen him live and in action back in your day. John's been around a lot longer than I have. Even though I've been 23 years now, I think you got a decade at least on me. And unfortunately, I never got to see a lot of those greats, but I do have a lot of their books. And yeah, that was real solid advice because sometimes it can be misdiagnosed. Sounds like, Michael, you're saying that's not it. That's not what's going on in this case. Not a cypress. It's got the typical pine needle foliage, shaped foliage. I'm going to list my I didn't say you were old. I said you were wise. There's a difference, man. One's slightly less offensive, I guess. Yeah, Michael, shoot me some pictures of that. I just texted my my email in here in the group chat, and yeah, shoot me those pictures over, man. I'm sure we can figure out what's going on. But there's a couple things you might want to try. Is first of all, just start refreshing the soil. I mentored under a guy named Rick Zampino, who was one of the world's first BCMAs, and he was one of the first RCAs. I think his BCMA number is like TX-0008 or something like that. Like living legend. I had no idea who I'm working for. I just knew this guy seems to know his stuff. Yeah, same here, John. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but like, I remember it was Jeff Ling that said, y'all are in an industry that currently is where modern medicine was in the 50s and 60s. And that really inspired me. Yeah. Shoot it over, Michael. I'd love to help if we can, and we'll figure out what's going on. But that really inspired me saying that, because what he meant by that is we're on the cutting edge of a lot of things happening. And it's up to guys like John and myself and a lot of others out there. We're not alone. There's so many guys. What's that, Callum Throw? I'm sure you've seen his work, John. He's like LiDAR scanning and 3D rendering mushrooms, like fungal pathogens for trees. I think that's so cool. We need guys like that are doing these things. I forget the guys with Adbian. I'm sure you've heard of them too, John. But they're making it to where you can actually take pictures, send it into this program, and the program figures out what's the likelihood of failure. And so that's super cool technology. This is the beginning stages. We got a long ways to go on a lot of this stuff, but it really is a cool industry to be in. So all y'all aspiring arborists, y'all keep it up. Use me as a resource. Use guys like John as a resource. Yeah, same here. Yeah, that's what mine was 3737A. Now it's 3737B. So, which is totally cool, y'all. Check this out. So there's a this is fun. There's a building here in Houston, and y'all can't see a lot of this, but this building, where is it? So check this out, John. This is so fun. You'll appreciate this. Oh, I love it. Yeah, Adbian's a really cool group. Those guys, and he's got a better accent than I do. He's got that Eastern European thing going on. I'm drawing a blank on his name though. I got to reach out to him. Okay, so this is my telephone. Oh, Michael, your email just came through, dude. I'll get back to you. We're working on the live stream now, but I'll get back to you on that one. We do have some family stuff later on this afternoon. All right, so John, I was driving down the road the other day, and I saw this. This is actually my Andre. That's right. Yeah, Andre, cool dude. He and I guess maybe it's his wife or his girlfriend or somebody. We had a good conversation with him because I'm working on some stuff with AI too. That like prescription diagnosis type stuff and prescription pruning that basically have the robots prescribe the pruning the care options. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot. Again, we got a long ways to go. But check that out. That is a building with a tree on it and my personal arborist certification number. Just add a B after that, and you got Matt Latham, board certified master arborist there. John, I figured you'd appreciate that. It just happened to have a tree in the back of that number there, so thought that was super cool. Anyways, we're moving on. Can anyone identify this tree? To me, that looked like a magnolia. It's a common unalive tree. LOL. Sorry, I had to. Bob, he was a good guy. His wife will miss him. Anybody name their tree? You should, because hey, they're not people. They don't talk. They definitely bark. But sorry, that's terrible. Somebody I get this question maybe once a year. They're like, "Are trees sentient? Do they like talk to you, bro?" It's like, no. Well, I heard in the documentary on YouTube once that they talk to you. No, they send electrochemical stimulus response things. They'll send electrical signals and chemical signals to each other through their root system. That does indeed cause responses, and a lot of those are in response to predators, pathogens, and things like that. And that is a form of communication, but they don't get up and like, I had this one guy I worked with. He was like, we here at blah, 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 blah company, we believe that it's not the person that called to request the help with the tree. It's the tree inspired the human to call. It's like, dude, you're not going to indoctrinate me into your religious beliefs. Sorry, but I get that freedom still. This is America still, y'all. So anyways, they're not sentient, but they do. They're living organisms, plain and simple. They eat, they breathe, they sleep. They have a respiratory and a vascular system just like we do. So when I was looking at this, Avery, it looked like a magnolia to me as well. But there's really only one way to tell, and that's to Google it. That's a joke, y'all. But yeah, it's a nice looking tree, and magnolia is not the best firewood, but you've definitely, I will say this, it looks like maybe you've removed the tree. I'm not sure. Hold on. Looks like maybe you've already removed the tree. What I would say is if you didn't, I would not park my truck or my golf cart under there or my trailer for that matter. That's a scary, not scary. I mean, it's probably fine until that one moment when it isn't, and then it's going to come crashing down. I wouldn't park under there. Looks like a magnolia to me. It sounds like maybe that's just a curiosity question more than anything. So moving on. Kaysen, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name. November 9th. So I just watched the Tree First most recent podcast in which they conversed about fertilization, mulching. Their consensus was that they generally will not mulch a tree. What? What? Why? All right, let's keep reading. I just pruned this tree over the weekend. My objectives were unalive wood and raising growth for the head clearance. That's fair, just functional pruning. While I was removing unalive wood, I also addressed some structural pruning. With that, I'm curious your opinions on where you would have gone and objectives you would have attacked while being up there. My ultimate question with this post, they have raised mulch beds, old flower beds, I'm assuming, with a concrete barrier. It's been there a long time, long enough that the barrier is busted up all around. I've recommended removing the barrier in the mulch bed and bringing the dirt back to the original ground level. Beautiful recommendation, Kaysen. I don't know. Yeah, I'm wondering the same. Christine's saying I need to listen to this podcast. I feel like there's been a lot of reason or situation where it's not as helpful. Do you have a link? I'm scrolling their page, and so hopefully I'll find it. Ooh, maybe we'll get a link here. Here we go. I gotta check that out too. Beats me. I don't know what the difference in them is. Thanks for the link for whatever it is. Oh man, gotta love the interwebs. Okay, so yeah, you got a tree here. That looks to me like a water oak or a laurel oak, maybe. 1 second. Let me post this. Y'all, with Lucas being gone, he normally tags each and every time when we talk about this. What's up, Sprout? Glad to have you here, big guy. Hey, Wisconsin's beautiful, dude. I was just up there collecting some data on some trees. And man, y'all got it made. You got spring and fall and all the colors. Here it's brown in Houston right now. And you get a lot of live oaks, so that helps. But very brown, very ugly. And then I went up there, and it was so cool and refreshing. And what's up, Nito? I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it, man. I wound up working in the rain and getting in late Friday night. Otherwise, I would have reached out and been like, yo, let's grab dinner on me. But it was cool. I met with a fellow logger up there, and he and I were talking trees for a long time. Kaysen, I disagree with that. Yeah, it kind of rained on me a little bit. Sprout, it wasn't bad, but you know, when you're out there with trying to GPS things and you got complete cloud coverage overhead, that doesn't help. So I was a little offended at God, but I got over it. That's just the way it is, y'all. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think mulch is one of the best things that you can do with trees. Oh, dude, the visit was amazing, Nito. It was absolutely amazing. Wisconsin's a neat place. You know what I loved most about it, though, was the people are cool as cucumbers, man. Everybody there is just nice and friendly and, you know, a little jaded maybe because of the cold. But, all right, Kaysen, I'm sorry. I promise you I'm going to answer your question. I keep getting distracted by all these punk Wisconsins up here. But, yeah, I disagree. I do think that mulch bed around there, you got to get rid of it. That's very important. And it looks like the soil surrounding it is very, very compacted. A lot of times when roots come up to I thought sweet bay magnolia too, or some kind of bay magnolia, something. But yeah, it's hard to tell from pictures, y'all. Diagnosis is like the hardest, or identification is like the hardest thing to tell from pictures. Some things are real obvious. Live oaks look like live oaks. Pines look like pines. Then we just be happy afterwards. Yeah, no, Wisconsin was so cool. I at the car rental place was where I really noticed it. It's like, man, they were just cool as can be. They were just friendly. You know, I rented a minivan because that was the best deal that I could get. And they get there and they're like, "Oh, dude, you don't need a minivan, do you?" I'm like, "No, I don't need a minivan. That was the best deal. So why would I spend more money than I have to?" And and he was like, "Bro, let me get you in like a mid-size SUV. Would that work for you?" And so anyways, it just got better from there. Everybody's cool as can be up there. So that's now on our radar for potentials when it comes to moving. We're going to move out of Houston eventually. Okay, so a lot of times, Kaysen, when you've got roots that are above the ground, that's a lot of not always, but sometimes that can be due to compaction in the soil. And I know you got the fire pit there, probably got some foot traffic over there. So what you may want to do is add some humic acid. That actually binds to clay, and it looks like you got mostly sand there, but that'll help feed the microbes if nothing else. But if you do have a more clay soil, that can actually help to chemically flocculate the soil, basically crystallize it so there's more pore space in between. So that's an option. You can also do like vertical mulching. Let me see if I can send you that one. I really got to do a video on how to vertical mulch, not just what it is, but actually how to. That's important to me, is making sure you guys get how-to videos. And it's gonna take forever. All right, so I'll send you this link here in just a second, Kason. But the main thing is that looks to be a water oak, and you do have this big decay patch on the back side. I might watch that real carefully and maybe reduce some of the canopy height even further. Do it in pruning cycles. Don't do it right now. That you want to reduce some of the weight. It looks like the tree's already done that. I don't know if that was like man-made cuts or if the tree just kind of snapped off in pieces. I will say, I do notice a little fence chipped out of it, so maybe the branches just broke, or maybe you got some terrible arborists coming in and, oh wait, you're the arborist, aren't you? My bad. Sorry, Kason. All right, here's the video. Yeah, do some vertical mulching. That is always a good idea. Even if you have like really bad tools, if you got a drill, go buy $20 worth of drill bit, and that'll help to basically just every foot or two, drill holes down to about 6 to 8 inches and backfill with compost. Real super simple. I do want to check out that podcast though. You got to get rid of that retaining wall with all the mulch and everything, the dirt inside of it, because that is going to be doing some serious damage to your trunk flares, which can cause the tree actually to fall over more easily. So you don't want that. That's no good. But mulch is your best friend, man. Whenever we're doing construction, we always put mulch down. Super critical. All right, we're moving on. Finally. Sorry, guys. I'm lost without my Lucas. All right, Chris Badger is saying, look, where you at, Chris? New Jersey. What's up, New Jersey? My wife and I lived in Sussex County, by the way. But yeah, it's a beautiful area. They call it the Garden State for a reason. And we're smitten by the environment there. Real similar to Wisconsin, a little less plainsy. Wisconsin's more plains and kind of rolling hills and all that. New Jersey, some of it is marshland, some of it is oceanfront land, some of it is foothill land, and then you've got your rolling plains out on kind of the western side of things too. But beautiful area. Anyways, planted 3 years ago, and it was planted too deep at that time. And this past spring, I did my best to dig down and expose the root flares. Well done, Chris. That's exactly what you need to be doing. Found some roots wrapped around the trunk, so I cut them. Does it look to be healthy? Should I transplant this tree to my backyard? I would not move it after 3 years. If you can avoid moving it, do. Yep. Root flares were buried. I would actually expose them a little bit more, Chris. It doesn't, if I'm looking at that right, it doesn't look like they're buried. They're deep enough. Yeah. And you've got some chlorosis, but that could be just the time of the year. That could be like the new leaves coming in. So I'd be curious on that one. It's not a great time to do a digital arborist consultation on a tree like that. Yeah, get rid of those. And okay, this is perfect. Thank you for that picture, Chris. You're on the right track. Get rid of those that are coming the wrong direction and train those roots to grow away from the trunk in every direction. But I definitely see a little bit more that could and should be done. Let me give you this video here too, bro. Okay, here we go. Copy. Okay, so when it comes to use soil or compost for more nutrient-rich addition, yeah, Jay, spot on, dude. Great advice. Joe's saying wouldn't do anything to it. The only thing I'd do is add nutrients, add that compost, add that mulch, get rid of the root flares just a hair, and I think that's going to go a long ways for you. But if you really want to give it kind of an extra little boost, humic acid is great. This stuff is the bomb. Can I say bomb on the internet? Or is that going to get me red flagged? By the way, y'all, for those of you watching, it's really going to help me out a lot if y'all could do me a huge favor and just click the like button. That helps to get this out to more people. and especially those who have the questions. All right, Andrew, any proven husky performance shops in Michigan? No, but I'll tell you one guy I love is this guy, John Snell. I think his last name is John. I think his first name is John. And Snellerized saws. So if you want like a super hot saw, go to Snellerized saws and they'll hook you up. Great folks, and they do wonderful work. I've used a lot of saws where they ported them out. You just ship it to them and they send it back to you, a hot saw. All right, so let's get to some of these questions. All right, yes, come to Wisconsin. I got to pick your knowledge a bit. Up north has a more variety of trees than Milwaukee County. Yeah, you know, I noticed that because I was actually in Lorima. I don't know if you know that area, Lorima. It was kind of in between Wisconsin or Milwaukee and Winnebago, Lake Winnebago, and just a beautiful area. There's a lot of farmland out there. All them cows with all that Wisconsin cheese. And I have a question about broken out branches, just because I wonder about it. When a branch breaks and breaks off the collar, should you trim it behind the break, even if behind it destroys the collar? No, actually, leave it alone. And there's actually some really new emerging research out there about how that works and how trees seal in nature. It's not like if a branch breaks and it's not done according to ANSI A300 that the tree is just screwed, right? That's not how any of this works. There's actually, trees are built for survival. And so there's a lot of emerging research that shows that sometimes leaving the broken wound is actually better for it than pruning it past the break point. And so, especially if you're cutting into trunk tissue or big branch tissue, you don't want to do that. You want to cut it at the branch collar and make sure that the tree's got all of that meristematic tissue right around the trunk, where the branch collar is what it's called, the branch bark ridge and all that. Right there at the base of the attachment point is what's called meristematic tissue. And meristematic tissue is essentially, think of like our stem cells. Sorry, y'all. Meristems are essentially like undifferentiated. And so what that means is they can become anything that the tree needs. And so our stem cells, same thing. They've got the genetic predisposition for anything that's required in our body. And that's why people are using them in modern medicine to treat uncurable things, is because they've got healthy cells. You come in, you put that and replace the cancer cells, which are unhealthy cells. And all of a sudden things start to work, things start to heal, et cetera, et cetera. So same with trees, is they got all these meristematic tissue cells that are built in. They're only found in really two primary places, one at the end of the branch and the end of the root, and then one in the cambium of the tree, right around the outer layers of the trunk. And they're especially kind of compacted right at a branch union. We call it the branch collar. That's kind of that little bumpy area right at the branch attachment point. And so whenever you cut it just outside that, that's great. But what we're finding is that trees actually respond better sometimes if a branch breaks, just leave it alone, because it will regrow that tissue. It can regrow even tissue that's cut into the trunk, but it's a lot more energy consumptive than just when you prune it right, according to the ANSI A300 standards and all that. All right. So hope that helps, Sprout. But yeah, it depends. That's the right question the right answer is it depends. So anyways, we're moving on. This one, y'all, this is crazy. I had to shut down. Actually, my wife did shut down the comments on this because it was getting out of control. So I'll go ahead and let me go ahead and turn it back on real quick, and we'll talk about this a little bit. Turn on commenting. All right, y'all, don't take advantage of that, please. I'm begging you. I can't keep up. All right, so where'd it go? Why is it not letting me comment? Turn off commenting. Turn on commenting. Hello? I just want to comment. That's all. What's that? 104. Yeah, so kind of funky looking. Here's the thing. If you plan on that tree being there for the next 100 years, I would replace it, Steve. If you want a decent project tree, even though it's been butchered, we call that topping. There's a bumper sticker that, yeah, is that a tree? That's funny, Sprout. It used to be. It used to be a red maple, it looks like. Damage to the trunk. You got a tree that probably will grow. If this is like a memorial tree, like planted in memory of somebody or whatever, maybe keep it and keep it alive, thriving. You're going to have to do some serious things over the years to it to make sure it doesn't come just snap, pop, and cracking in the next storm. But well, that's great advice, actually. And Orsolia, Miss Lazar, fantastic advice. Will it survive or will it grow into a healthy tree with a strong structure? Those are indeed two very, very different questions. So I guess that's kind of the point that I'm getting at is if this is an in-memory tree or something that you love and want to just have a nice little project tree, then go ahead and keep it. Resprout it. Train that canopy to be a I agree, Sprout. Train that to be a strong structure, and I'm happy to guide you along myself. But that looks like maybe it's an in-memory tree, and if it is, like I said, I'd love to help you out. If it's not, you might be better off just replanting it, man. I'm sorry, but sometimes that really is the best option. One thing you can do is, again, just give it some extra resources. I love humic acid and molasses. This one, Ocean Harvest, is a really great product for restoring new tissue in trees. So I'll give you a couple of those things. But overall, yeah, you got a lot going on that tree, man. I'm not gonna lie, you got a lot going on that tree. If it's not an in-memory tree, replant it and save yourself the headache. You want something. It's it's like well, it's kind of like the kid in the projects. Can he grow up to be a president of the United States? Absolutely. Is he going to? It's less likely, maybe, but that's not to say that it doesn't have potential. It's just going to take more work to get there. Whereas the kid that grew up in the perfect environment with the perfect studies and the perfect education and the silver spoon fed, maybe he's got a little more, or she has a little better choices in life, and maybe more potential to get someplace quickly. All right, we're moving on. So hope that helps. I'm going to go ahead and turn off commenting again because that got crazy here, y'all. So thank God for my wife catching these things. All right, so Cody Kern asking Eastern White Pine. I think Eastern White, y'all correct me up north. I think it's 5 needles. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. That's hard to tell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. Y'all remember Sesame Street? You're too young to remember that, Sprout. Yeah, it looks to me like an Eastern White Pine. I could be wrong though. Pines are not my forte. Neither are fruit trees, but to me it looks like an Eastern White Pine. But y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Sprout's saying yes. Copy. I got to remember to do this, you guys. 107. Cool trees, though. I love their canopy. They got a nice, healthy, dark canopy. That's beautiful. Per thingy. That's great. Yeah, that's terminology that I would use, preferably not in one of my reports because some of those go to court. But yeah, Eastern White Pines have 5 needles per thingy per bud. That's great. Love it, Sprout. Where's the best place to buy quality fruit trees that last, preferably in San Diego? This is one thing that I love about this group, you guys. Now, I don't know, but I know Nick Araya is a great dude, and he's really helped develop our industry as well. I don't know what one word exotica means. That sounds dirty, y'all, but maybe if you look up San Diego exotica, well, don't do that. Don't look that up either. Fascicle. There you go. Yeah, John's got the right word. He's our scholar over here. Per thingy. That's a technical term. All right, so join our gardening. This is what I love about this. So Nick's able to give me one word, exotica. I don't know what that means. I haven't looked it up. I really hope that if you look up San Diego exotica, it doesn't. Maybe put safe search on, you guys. But another one, Pedro Barry, dude. Thank you, Pedro. That's wonderful, man. This is why we do this. Is because I don't know everything. I can do a good job of giving you a good general idea. You know, look up certified arborist. Go to isa-arbor.com. Go to aska-consultants.com and look these guys up. Go to treesaregood.com and look these guys up. But I'm not there locally, and so my knowledge and my ability to be a good arborist can be limited. Sometimes it's not, but here Pedro's in here. He's like, yo, check out our page, San Diego Gardeners.org or whatever, facebook.com/San Diego Gardener. I love it, you guys. This is how this is done. Is they got this cool group over there, obviously more local, and that's what this is all about, connecting people and growing and loving the trees that we love and live around. And y'all, way to go, guys. Way to be an awesome group. So keep that up, you guys. Hope that helps, Kelly. You got some solid advice out there. But moving on, David Dang. Hi, all. I really could use second and third and fourth opinions on this situation. Bought a century home in Southeast Michigan, up in the Great North also. Earlier this year, and the property has many large and tall trees. One of them seems particularly concerning. It's a double stem white cedar growing literally within a foot of the foundation. Actually, I'm okay with trees growing near the foundation. Let's see what we got here. During the contingency phase, the previous owners mentioned that an arborist had looked at it in the past and said it wasn't an issue. Not sure how much I trust this, but it really doesn't matter to me at this point. That's fair. Recommended removing it. Another guy recommends removing it, believes the tree was intentionally planted. Around the time the house was built, roughly 100 years ago. Recommended removal because it could eventually affect the foundation. The branches pose risks to the siding and shingles. That's fair, but you can prune that away. You can keep it until it grows, until the trunk grows and starts connecting with the roof line. His company would remove it by cutting it down in sections from top to bottom, leaving the stump in place. He said that once cut the stump, the tree won't grow. That's true. Cedars have a really hard time growing from the roots after they've been cut down. I asked about potential foundation issues after removal. That would be the bigger problem that I would see. But all trees are going to eventually come down. So you have to consider that. Because as trees are decaying, and cedar, by the way, you've got a really good shot at because it has some awesome anti-decay features that it will prevent those roots from decaying. We call them allelochemicals, and a lot of them are fungicides. A lot of them are just, man, if that's a 100-year-old tree with a trunk that small, man, that tree has been growing extremely dense, and denser wood is more mold fungus resistant. And so maybe you're okay, but I'll be honest, I think it's cool. If you just have it looked at periodically, realistically, tree roots will not grow in an area where there's no water, there's no oxygen. So, by the way, you got what, 50, 100,000 pounds worth of house compressing the soil. There's not a lot of water and there's not a lot of oxygen down there. So, if it were me, and I don't have a lot to go off of, mind you, imgur.com, let's check it out. Looks like just the one photo. Maybe if you can give us some more photos. That might make a difference, but let's see. Let's see what we're cooking with. Peanut oil. Oh, it's got great taper, though. You do have that one little spot right there. Maybe that'd be I'd be a little concerned with. Ooh, that's not bad. Yeah, and it does lean towards the house, but that's not like a deal killer by any means. I would expose the root flares a little more. Yeah, I will say this. Right tree, wrong place. Not a great long-term strategy, but clearly it's worked for 100 years. So does that mean that it's like game over if you leave it? It's going to ruin everything, come smashing your house in and ruin your lives? Maybe not. I don't think that's a fair enough assumption to think. But it is worth monitoring on a regular basis. Have a good arborist stick a soil probe in there, and you can actually do the same yourself and just check to see around the foundation if there's roots. But for the most part, I think you're okay. Yeah, unless your insurance company wants to cancel your policy because of it, then you might have to. But all right, Sprout's asking, do you watch Game of Trees? I don't watch anything, dude. I watch like some like A little bit of entertainment with my wife. We watch. You know what we watched was Halo recently. The what is that? FX or whoever made the Halo series, the more modern one, and that was really good. And we watched Umbrella Academy was great too. But I've never seen Game of Trees. I don't think I have. Maybe I need to. But I joke. I don't get out much, y'all. I'm just a tree nerd. If I had my choice, I'd disappear in the forest. I wouldn't even be behind this computer talking to y'all. I'd be talking to you, somebody else filming it while I'm out in the middle of nowhere. That'd be my preference, but can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, or at least I've heard, you just might find you get what you need. So I do that. Hello, new to the group. What's up, new to the group, Anonymous? Thanks for being here. This tree is behind my house on my neighbor's side. Oh, wait, I got to do this. Sorry, you guys. I'm slacking again. Slacking. Where's that at? 1.10. Man, I can't type either. Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah. He makes videos here on YouTube, and he's from Wisconsin, so I like watching his videos on especially pruning because he's a BCMA. That's fantastic. Y'all, just fun fact, too, there's only about 1,400 BCMAs in the world right now, which is not a big number. If you think about it this way, there are approximately 450 to 500,000, half a million attorneys in the U.S. alone. There's 1,400 BCMAs in the world. So I'm not trying to toot my own horn. That's not the point in saying that. But when you meet a BCMA, they're very, very rare. There's just not a lot of us, unfortunately. I think that needs to change, but I also think we need to make that exam harder. Humble opinion. Nobody asked it. All right. Sorry, Anonymous. New to the group. This tree is behind my house on my neighbor's property. A piece of it fell onto my other neighbor's fence this summer. You can now see inside the tree pretty deep, and it appears to be hollow from rot or fungus. It's a very, very tall tree. I guess I'm wondering about the likelihood of it coming down entirely since it's leaning slightly in the direction of my house. Not sure what caused the black charred looking stuff within the tree or how compromised that will make the tree. This is one of those, German, great, solid device. You can see the callus tissue forming there. I actually see this as okay. Now, it would be good to go ahead and do a sound check on it. You can use a rubber mallet just to tap lightly on the area surrounding that decay point. And let's see, 1.16. Let me give you this video that we did recently to decay. And this just kind of goes into a little bit of how to tap on it and how to determine the level of decay. This is not like you're getting a map of the inside of the tree. This is just getting a general idea of how it's looking. So this is a good starting point, but it's certainly not the end all be all. So check out that video, see if that helps. One thing you can do is you can help it along. This is just going to give it some extra resources. It's not going to seal or heal the tree in and of itself. Essentially, the tree is the only thing that can do that. So basically, what you're looking at, Anonymous, is those two branch unions were very, very, very narrow. Why is that square like that? Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can figure this out. Okay, well, I'm a circle now. That's what we're going to do. I got to fix that before next time. But so here's your tree, Anonymous. You got trunk here. You got a trunk here that had another limb that was right here. And then maybe it came along something like that. And this is not the proportion. I'm like the worst artist that ever did art. Maybe that'll help with the lighting in this. Okay, can you see me now? Can you hear me now? Hopefully that helps a little bit. What's up, guys? All right, so what happened is you've got a really, really narrow branch union here. And what happened is water comes in and it starts to get in that little crevice there. And then eventually it traps kind of moisture. And that will lead to decay. And unfortunately, when you've got a really narrow, like V-shaped branch union, it just creates a really weak branch union. And so all the fibers are kind of growing the same direction. Now contrast that with like a big U-shaped limb where you've got maybe something like this. Again, it's got cancer. Something like that. What happens is on an individual basis, those fibers are growing into and are being surrounded by the other tree tissue. So they're very, on a microscopic level, on a cellular level, they're basically creating this really tight, firm branch union. Actually, they've measured, we call it reaction wood. They've measured reaction wood to be up to 1.5 times as dense as standard tree tissue. Like your trunk tissue. Hold on, I got a logistic problem going on here, y'all. Now we're good. My bad. So yeah, you got kind of a weak branch union here. That's what happened. Is this think of it like string cheese? Is it just peeled right off? Really easy. And so yeah, it is what it is. What I will say though, and this is critical, you guys, this is absolutely critical. The tree has done a marvelous job of sealing that wound. So I'm not real offended by it. I'm not real worried about the remaining, but it would be good to see, get like a proper tree risk assessment on it. But all of that new callus tissue is a very, very good sign. I love to see that. And that's exactly what you want in your tree. You want it to seal those wounds. And eventually what's going to happen is it'll close that gap entirely. And you're not even going to be able to notice it was there. That may be 40 years down the road, but it absolutely can happen. Now, as long as the outer 1 to 2 inches or 1 to 2 layers of tree is intact, really like 3 or 4 inches sometimes, is a lot of times you have a really strong structure even still. Think of a pipe as a really strong structure, and it's hollow. And every single, I mean, at least most of them, I'm sure there's some exceptions, but it's going to be very rare. Every single old growth tree is going to have some to significant decay on the inside of it. And that's totally normal. That's how trees work. And German said, he got it right. As he says, tree trunk tissue doesn't heal the way human tissue does. It compartmentalizes around damage. You can see the callus tissue forming around the edge here, but even if it eventually seals off the damage, it will always be there. The defect in the base combined with the weight of the live canopy and wind resistance of the foliage makes this more likely to come down in a storm. How dangerous it is depends on the distance from structure or anything else valuable. I agree. Yeah, I agree. What I wouldn't do is freak out just because you've got a bit of decay there. What you can do is sometimes reduce canopy weight and height. You can improve the overall health of the tree. That's going to improve its ability to compartmentalize those wounds and suppress decay. You can actually use some antifungal type properties as well. That's going to have minimal effect, but it doesn't hurt. And it also, you can spray it all throughout the soil too. So this is one that I really like. It's Microlife Liquid AF. It's got trichoderma and bacillus bacteria, all different kinds of critters, I call them. Yeah, trichoderma, bacillus, streptomycetes as well. And these are all going to be heterotrophic, or basically that means they consume everything but themselves. So fungus is a part of that. They love things that are high in phosphorus. They love things that are higher in nitrogen, like fungus. So that's a really great product. You got to mix it. If you do get that, make sure to mix it 1 part to 1 part with molasses. Very important. So hope that helps. Anonymous, welcome to the group, man, or man or ma'am. Glad to have you here. So hope that helps. Oh, I got to press the go button, right? There we go. Moving on. Let's get to maybe one more question, and we're going to call it for the night, you guys. My husband and I had a miscommunication, and he cut the top of the beautiful, calming Japanese cherry blossom. Oh, that stinks. And he wrecks to salvage and not look so horrible, heartbroken in Chesapeake. Beautiful part of the world. Yes. What I would do, Linda, is let me go ahead and post the timestamp here. That's important, isn't it? Otherwise, you have no idea when and where I'm talking about. Now, this is why I need really smart people in my life to help keep me organized. My wife being one of them, my Lucas being one of them. He's my Lucas. Y'all stay away. Oh, sorry. Wrong timestamp. Where are we at? Let's just say 23. Okay, yeah, let me delete that too. Edit or delete. My bad, Susan. think Susan, right? Susan. Linda. Oh my goodness. Oh, I need to restart this and give her a new timestamp. Sorry, Linda. I'm rude. It's not personal. Us guys are really good at ooh. Hey, that's a pretty good idea, actually. Guy, this is why you make the big bucks, dude. Love having you in here. So I was actually going to suggest something different, Guy, but I really like your advice. So what I was going to suggest is maybe I'll go ahead and demonstrate for you here, Linda. So you got a weeping cherry. Sky, here's the top of it. You got all these branches that come off. And then you got this one that's stubbed and this one that's stubbed as well. And then you've got all these other branches that come off of it. And so what you could do, and oh, there's one more here. So I love what Guy said is he's saying take this topmost limb and bend it upwards, stake it on there somehow. You can use like a wooden frame or something of that nature, and that will actually become the new apical dominant lead. Yeah. Yeah, you can train that to be a tree form again, Linda. I don't see all is lost. I would take Guy's advice, and I would only add on to that. And I know he hates when I promote products like this, but resources are resources. And if you give it some extra resources, it's going to have extra resources to grow. That's how that works. So there's a little link to a product. If you can't get help from me, get help from somewhere, please. But that is a wonderful product. It's all organic. You can't burn it really. You can if you dump the whole bottle on the tree, but realistically, just follow the instructions, and it's a really great product. Will go a long ways to just giving the tree some extra resources to heal from that. If you're okay with it being kind of the same form that it's in right now, what happened? Hello? What on earth? Just y'all saw that, right? I'm not losing my mind. I hope I'm not. It wouldn't be the first time. If you're okay with keeping the kind of general form that it's in now, then I would just very simply remove those two stubs on the top and just cut them back to the branch union there. That's real simple. But if you do want it to grow a little more upright, you absolutely can bend that top one. Don't break it, but bend that top little sprout going, or that little twig going there, and let that become the apical dominant limb. It'll take 5 to 10 years before you're even going to see the results that you're looking for. But it is very possible. So I'm sorry that happened. The other thing, Linda, expose those root flares right here at the base. You do not want those root flares buried in all of that pine mulch. That is very, 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 very important. So here's a good example. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Here we go. But yeah, it's not all is lost. You got a beautiful tree still and a lot of potential with it, especially if y'all plan on being there for decades or even many years. Then I think you're okay. So let's get into just a couple more questions here, you guys, and then we'll call it for the night. So Sprout's asking, have I ever heard of a Norfolk Island pine? Yes, I have. I don't know much about it, but I've heard of it. So tell me a little more context. Oh, is there any difference in pruning elm trees naturally, vase-shaped trees versus other trees? I've heard it's okay to have more than one lead due to its natural growth habits. Live oaks are kind of the same way. It is, but it's not ideal. If you want to train that out of it from an early age, and that's going to just generally create a healthier structure. It's not necessary. You can leave it alone and just let it grow. But if you can create a strong center lead, that's always preferable. So think of a triangle as a really strong structure. And then TreeWorks, what's up, buddy? What do you do when your crew quits and no shows? Do you give up or do you do it yourself? No, you do like me and you become a consultant because you get tired of employees. Somebody said employees are great, except they lie and they cheat and they steal from you. And then when you fire them because they lied and they cheated and they stole from you, then they go back and they sue you. And so I prefer to work with contractors. Now, it's really, really dangerous grounds. You got to make sure to dot your I's and cross your T's. And you can't have them wear your uniform. You can't have them drive your trucks. You have to, you can't really even tell them how to do their job. What you can do is say, this is the general practices and procedures that we do. You can prescribe a certain treatment. You can give the whole job to them, and then it kind of cleans it up. There's still so many loopholes that are there. It makes it kind of dangerous. So make sure to take care of your people. I feel you do. Tree Works, man, you have no idea. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you do, actually. That's probably why you're complaining and asking the question. What do you do when your crew quits, no shows, give up, or do you do it yourself? Well, I did it myself. I simplified a long time ago. We had 12 guys that worked for us, and it was weird. We had kind of almost $1 million business in Dallas area, and I hated it. It almost ruined my life, and it almost ruined my family, my career, my everything. And and my health. Did I mention that? The Bible says, what good is it for a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And I learned that in Dallas. I was losing my soul, my health, my family, my everything. It just wasn't worth it anymore. So I simplified. And I'll be honest, like, Bartlett's a great company. There's a lot of great companies out there that are larger in size. Save a Tree has some great offices and some not so great office. Bartlett the same, Davey the same. You get all these big box companies, and it's kind of going to be localized. You're going to have different results based on who's running the company in that division in that particular location. So, here in Houston, we got some great Bartlett guys, but I'm not going to say no other names. Go to other places, and you got some not so great branches there, pun intended, but whatever. And so it all just depends. What I did, Tree Works, and maybe this is good advice, maybe this helps you, but I simplified. I went down to a one-man band. I got a nice crew that I became friends and family with, and we just strolled around and we did our thing. I had a sales guy working for me that sold for me. He did all the work out in the field, got the jobs lined up and stacked up. All I did is go to work every day. I did get a bucket truck because I was getting older and fatter and lazier, and that was fine. But that I still love it. That's just get out there and climb trees, man. Guy Mayer, please correct me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong too, by the way. He has a saying. He says, touch trees. And man, I'll tell you, there's some wisdom in that simple statement. So sorry you're dealing with that. Tree Works, man. I feel your pain, bro. I really do. Man, it's been a weird career, but hopefully that helps you guys. And with that, we're going to call it for the night. I'm going to move on to my family activities and seeing and taking care of my family. But thank you all so much for being here. We love you guys, and we're really glad to have you as part of this community. And again, if you have questions or need a closer look at your trees, hit us up on the web at arboristonDemand.com. We do digital consulting all over the world, really. And, I just took a case in Dublin. I've got a couple cases going on in Canada right now, litigation cases, but we take care of trees from all over the world. And it's really easy. It's telemedicine for trees. And so if you need a closer look at yours, we might not be able to give you every specific answer that we would on site. And we certainly can't prune your trees, but I can definitely prescribe a pruning plan for you, and we can get you going in the right direction. If you got diagnoses that need to happen, we can point you to the right lab, et cetera, et cetera. So hit us up on the web, click on any of these buttons to talk to an arborist, and that'll lead you to the right place, and sign up. Pick a time that works for you. We'll get you going in the right direction with your trees. And of course, if you haven't yet, head on over to the Tubes of You. Check out our YouTube channel. I'm trying to pump out some good content almost every day. It's not working that way, but right now we got almost 300 videos on there in about a year and a half, and really just trying to make it a really good, safe place for y'all to get solid advice for the trees that you love and live around. So thanks again, you guys, and we will see you Thursday night. Have a great evening.